Did you see action in Vietnam at all?
No, I didn't. I was not. I was up in the air. And the amazing part of it, the most different thing that happened to me was when President Kennedy was shot. And our base went on full alert in Alaska. We didn't know that was going on.
Oh.
So we were the last to know, and everything seemed like, wow, what is happening, And we thought for sure there was going to be some action, but we didn't know what was going to happen. But 2 days later, we find out that President Kennedy was shot. That was kind of a shockaroo, but,
Well, yeah.
But, air refueling is, I was in disaster control, and we had an aircraft go down, and we had to put the fire out, basically. But we tried to put the fire out on the magnesium wheels, which you cannot put out. It's just that, I know how to explain it, but you cannot put water on it, you can't do nothing with it, you can't put foam on it. So they ended up putting truckloads of black dirt on it. They couldn't even use sand because it would spit itself out. But magnesium really has a strange reaction to it. It's just amazing how it works. But that was one of the strangest experiences I had.
Now, you recently went on an honor flight, and that's what we're really focusing on here. Could you tell people what that was like for you?
It was an amazing experience. I was reluctant to go, but I ended up going, and it was the most exciting thing I ever did. And it started on a Sunday, and I went through Monday, which we went to D.C., and the stories that we heard from other guys was great. And of course, everybody was very much impressed. And of course, in D.C., where you see all the guys that got killed and all this stuff, and it includes a lot of World War II and Korea and Vietnam. And of course, I was looking for some guys on the wall, and I didn't find them, thank goodness, because I don't know what happened to them when I got out of the service.
Mm-hmm.
But I met a lot of nice guys in the service, and a lot of strange things happened, But one of the strangest things was when I first got into the service. I was in the service, I got in there in February. In December, I got orders to fly to Minot, North Dakota. And I said, why? Of course, I had to cut orders, take a vacation, 15-day vacation. And the captain, I'm not going to mention his name, but all of a sudden he appears that you should report to the flight line, which I did. We were leaving with a KC-135, and we were flying from Eielson Air Force Base to Minot, North Dakota. And he just happened to marry my neighbor's daughter. And all of a sudden there was a connection. We went from Minot, we drove together, the captain and myself, and of course we went back the same way. Mm-hmm. And that was really impressed the heck out of me, where the military would let me do this and fly on their aircraft, and that was the best experience I could imagine,
Sure.
It's just so unrelated to military stuff.
Right.
And all of a sudden, geez, am I that special? I was just a little airman second class at the time,
There's so many unique and awesome stories that I always get to hear by interviewing a lot of these veterans. Now, some veterans they hesitate to go on honor flights because they'll say, well, that's for someone who may have been wounded or someone who seen direct battle action. And talking to people who actually have been wounded or had direct battle action, they always say that's nonsense. Now, would you recommend for those who have not necessarily seen action that, yes, this is still a tremendous thing and they shouldn't be reluctant to go on honor flights?
Well, definitely they should go. There's no question about it. I was reluctant to go.
Is that why you were reluctant? I don't know why.
But I was not involved in combat like Army and Marines. They were right in the thick of things, and I didn't really see that type of action. And of course I heard about it. You can't help but hear about it. But we had a lot of different people going through the base, And of course, we were involved with air refueling, but you don't see no action,
Right.
But it was a short time, We went TDY to Vietnam for a short period of time, and I had a fantastic boss when I was stationed at Offutt Air Force Base. We went places which I couldn't believe we could go, and then we did. But you don't find out you're going any place when you're in the aircraft. They don't hand you a menu.
Oh, really?
This is what you're gonna do. All of a sudden we're landing. Oh, wow. One time we landed in Shreveport, Louisiana. What the heck are we going to do here? Well, we got a problem with the engine, so they tell you. But it was a great experience.
That sounds fantastic.
But it's just you end up here and you end up there. You can't tell you the story.
Right.
But you waste 3 days on the ground. What do? So you're in transit barracks and hanging on. But the guys that don't have the combat, and I didn't have it, they should definitely go on the honor flight. It's so rewarding. It's unbelievable. And of course, it starts off like the USO program that we had in Alaska, where I think Bob Hope was in one of our deals, and I can't remember that. I think maybe Margaret. I can't think of her name, but she was in a USO show. They got some pretty good stars in there. Of course, everybody shows up at the base theater, and it was a wonderful thing. And of course, I did a lot of fantastic hunting in Alaska when I was stationed there. And I went to the University of Alaska. The Air Force actually sent me through school. I mean, I had 2 years of college before I got into the Air Force. But when I got in, and I found out, wow, they pay 80%, I'm going to do it. So I went to the University of Alaska, and I ended up at the University of Omaha. So I ended up with an educational degree, which I can't complain. The Air Force paid for 80%.
Sounds fantastic. It's great that you had a wonderful experience in the Air Force. Some young people might be watching this and are going to be like, I'm going to sign up for the Air Force after listening to your stories.
Why not?
Yeah.
It's just an absolutely no-brainer. I mean, with the cost of education, woo, you got to do it. You just got to do it. And it's great.
So one last question. What was your favorite thing or experience, or what you came away with? It could be any of those things from doing the honor flight.
Well, I think the most important thing it was just to hear the stories from the other guys. I mean, I just heard my side, and of course, all of a sudden you can hear the. In fact, I ran across a guy that was on the same base I was. He was a U-2 refueler, U-2 spy plane, and I happened to go on a flight line at a certain time, and I had a flight line pass, but I went where the U-2 was, and all of a sudden the MP came up to me and say, I had a 110 camera, one of those old-fashioned ones. He said, let me have that camera. He stripped the film out of it. And of course, the U-2 is very unique. If you watch it land, it's just unreal. But this guy is from Wausau, was on the honor flight, and he refueled the U-2 on the ground. So that was really, he had some good stories too.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, thanks so much for sharing your story, and I appreciate you, and thank you for your service.
Welcome.